Customizing sneakers, or customizing anything for that matter, can be incredibly rewarding, especially when a well thought out plan goes smoothly. Sometimes it just goes well. You create a mock-up, you use it as a reference, you do the art, you give it to the client, they're super happy, and you get those good feelings of a job well done. But that doesn't always happen. In fact, it almost never does. Before I started customizing sneakers and before I started nomading around the world, I had a business that customized surfboards. And just like with custom sneakers, I taught myself how to do it from scratch, through trial and error. Lots and lots of errors. When I started, I didn't know any better. The paint that I was using was chipping off, it was fading, sometimes the surface underneath looked uneven and that made the paint look ugly. The clear coat wouldn't dry and came out sticky. Oh, anything and everything that could go wrong did. Even things that made absolutely zero sense, like half of the board having a perfectly dry paint and the other half having a tacky sort of sticky finish. No exaggeration, it was borderline emotionally traumatic, because these problems always seemed to occur the day before the deadline was due. Even after doing hundreds of boards and perfecting my formula of surface preparation, methodology and everything, something always seemed to go wrong. So much so that my family and the people close to me around me couldn't understand why I was up at the early hours in the workshop working on a project, trying to get these things done. And oftentimes trying to fix a problem, causing a bigger problem and compounding the stress of a looming deadline. You see, giving up isn't usually an option when it comes to commissioned work, especially when somebody who owns the object is giving it to you to customize. There is no giving up, there is no going back, there is no scratching the project and starting again from scratch. So this became a very stressful job at times. I remember at a certain point I actually took a gig working at a wave ski factory. If you don't know what a wave ski is, it's a funny little boat thing that people use in the ocean. And the manufacturer wanted me to do some of his sprays and his designs. And I remember one day, everything that could ever go wrong did go wrong the day before they were due, and there was a collection happening. They were going to get shipped off to another country. And I actually got acetone poisoning from using too much chemicals to try and solve the problem that I had created, trying to get things done the day before. And of course, as soon as you take shortcuts in order to fix a problem, you create a bigger problem and the stress gets more and more and more. Now, there is a point to this story. It's not just a rant about the difficulties of customizing objects. So just bear with me a little longer. Eventually, after about 8 or so years of customizing surfboards, Leah and I decided to move into a nomadic stage of life where we were going to be traveling around a lot. And because of that, I wasn't able to bring my surfboard business and all of the cumbersome equipment on the journey with us, which was when I had the idea to start customizing sneakers. They're easier to store and transport than surfboards, plus I could buy and ship them from anywhere to anywhere in the world with very little difficulty. I must say, I thought it was going to be a much smoother learning curve because I had so much experience customizing things that I thought, wow, it's just going to be the same thing on a smaller canvas. But no, time and time again, something would go wrong. And this time it wasn't a lack of knowledge, theory, or know-how. Sometimes problems just happen. You buy the wrong tape and it's not sticky enough. Or you buy tape that's too sticky and it leaves a residue. You try to remove that residue and that residue creates a smudge. You pull up the tape after hours and hours of work and the paint comes off, showing that you didn't do good surface preparation. You do everything that would normally work on a pair of Air Force Ones, except you try it on a pair of unbranded fake leather shoes and nothing works. The paint doesn't bond, things are coming up, stuff's flaking, and you have no idea why this is happening. You accidentally cut a piece of leather and you have to go and buy a filler and sand it and seal it and paint over it again. You accidentally mix the wrong color paint and you only realize after the fact. And don't even get me started on the hassles of learning to operate an airbrush. Or, despite all of your knowledge of surface preparation, sanding, acetone, the paint still lifts. This actually happened to me really recently after I had released a video about exactly how to prepare your surfaces to prevent paint from lifting. And lo and behold, I was working on a pair of recycled night court visions and doing the exact same process that would have worked on an Air Force One. But somehow the surface of this recycled material didn't take well to the Angelus paint, and the paint lifted. My heart broke. Not only because it was a day and a half before the deadline, but because I was really proud of the work that I had done and it was going really well. To be honest, that was probably the most dejected I have felt to date when a problem arose with the deadline looming around the corner and I didn't know what to do. I really and truly felt like just throwing in the towel. I was so disappointed. I asked myself, like, are you even good at customizing? Are you even good at doing art? Like, nothing you do seems to go right. There's always a problem. Like, maybe this is just not for you. It sounds super dramatic, but when you have put so much blood, sweat and tears into honing your craft and things still go wrong, you can sometimes question your existence as an artist. It was at that time when somebody really close to me actually pulled me aside and said, I don't understand how you do it. Something always goes wrong, but you never even skip a beat. You just solve the problem and keep on going. I don't think that I could do that. Right at that point when I was questioning my existence or my qualifications as an artist, that comment hit me right here. It showed me that all of these obstacles, every time the paint didn't dry, the paint lifted, the airbrush broke, the tape didn't work, I had to go and redo a project, I realized that through all of this, I learned not only how to avoid these issues in the future, but I had also learned the value of focusing on the solution rather than the problem. I guess that's the thing. When you have no time to start again, no time to despair, no time to stop and be like, oh, I feel sorry for myself, but you have to focus on finding a solution and getting the job done. Sometimes the only way out is through. And yes, you can apply this to a lot of areas in life outside of art. But that comment made my art life flash before my eyes. I realized that, wow, I've become known amongst the people close to me that I am a problem solver and that I never give up. That must mean that I'm doing it a lot. So my advice to you, as somebody who is interested in customizing sneakers, controllers or phone covers or whatever, if you are going to give this a go, know that you are going to experience a really steep learning curve, and it's not going to be as easy as they make it look on YouTube, Reels or TikTok. No matter how straightforward the process looks, you're going to be confronted with the desire to give up. You're going to question whether or not you're good enough. You're going to feel a lot of frustration and doubt. But if you push through those things, I guarantee that one day, like me, you'll look back and you'll say, wow, I've really learned a lot and I've become a much more resilient person because of it. If you're not willing to go through the trenches to get to that point, then maybe this isn't for you. I now have far less of these obstacles than I did before, and because of that, I know that I have grown as a customizer. And yes, I know that new obstacles are going to present themselves in the future, and I say, bring it on. I'm ready to learn. I know this video was really different from the type of content that I usually make, but I really wanted to give you guys who are interested in customizing things a much more realistic look into what it really is like, so that you don't get the wrong impression by looking at TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of those things that make it look like it's just talent and poise. It's not. It's sometimes stupidly hard work, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And while talent isn't something you can learn, the perseverance to overcome obstacles definitely is. Make sure you subscribe and check out some of these other resources to help you in your customization journey. Until next time, see ya.